Hey, what's going on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, whoever that is watching this video as of right now. Again, my name is King Stefati Kwame Damu. Some of you have seen some of my videos, some of you haven't. Okay, and the topic of the day of what I'm going to be talking about is I'm going to be talking about the liberation of blackness. Okay, and the foundation of overcoming the enemy. Okay. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be touching on basis on how we can find ourselves and how we can overcome the enemy, which is physical. Okay. A lot of people say that they're engaging a spiritual warfare. How could they be engaging a spiritual warfare when the enemy is physical? Okay? And what I mean by the enemy is physical is because everything that holds us down, everything that controls us, that's keeping us down in slavery is physical. And it's been like that for centuries. It's been like that for years. Even though we were in the past. You can look back in the past and look into the future. Back in the past, the slave masters on the plantations did physical damage to us, which caused mental and spiritual damage. That's why I say today slavery is much worse than it was back then. Because now we have mentalized slavery, which programs and plagues our minds to the point that it kills us spiritually. When it kills us spiritually, it physically transforms us into zombies. Our mind is not equipped enough. Our mind is not enlightened enough. So we are walking around as dead zombies. Tell me why that between all of the poor blacks, the poor Latinos in the urban city neighborhoods, and even the rich and wealthy Latinos and blacks and entertainers, period, only own and only take up 6.2% of America's wealth. What happened to the other 94 or 93.2% of the financial infrastructure? Where's that going? Nobody's looking at that. They've been keeping us down forever. They've been keeping us down like this. And now it's time for us to get out of it. Okay? First of all, before we get out of this, we have to work on ourselves as individuals. Everybody's exposing the Illuminati. Everybody's exposing the government. Everybody's telling you this. Everybody's telling you that. But everybody's telling you this. But ain't nobody coming up with the answers. Nobody can sit there and pinpoint what is going on and how to solve the problem. What is the solution to the problem? You got all of these organizations. Some say the Food and Drug Administration. Some say the media. Some say this organization. But you have 100, more than 100 maybe, more than 150 organizations that control us. But nobody's telling you on how can you overcome all of these institutions, these organizations that blinds us, that controls us. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinpoint those organizations and institutions that define us, that degrades us, that controls us, and also puts our lives in a sinful threat, which poses a threat on us to never succeed. I'm going to start with these organizations because these are the strongest organizations that is influential and that holds us down and that controls us. These organizations is the financial infrastructure. You see all these banks. Every time that we go in there and we build a bank account or we invest in a bank account within that financial institution, okay, they get money off of that. The federal funding funds that bank, which is called a Federal Reserve Bank. That federal money is among the capital, which is the United States, which is the capital of the world. The money that finances, that builds the infrastructure and the whole existence of the Federal Reserve Bank is federal bankers, Rothschild, Rockefeller, etc. We have plenty more out there. And these are one of the richest and wealthiest men. And how they became the richest and wealthiest men is because they stole our knowledge, learned how to infiltrate our minds, foundated the system, and infiltrated our structure and used it against us, to the point that we would have money coming out of our pockets to keep that institution that controls us going. Okay? The financial infrastructure, the financial institutions. Every time we invest in a bank account, the federal bankers, which owns the Federal Reserve Bank, sends their money to fund that. For every person that has an account, that fund can go to the average of 75.6% to 92% within a year's time. If we take our monies out of our accounts and build it in a safe place, in a private place, in a private infrastructure where it is safe, where it is not threatened, there wouldn't be a need for a bank, for a Federal Reserve Bank. There wouldn't be a need for a financial infrastructure. The more banks and more financial infrastructures that we do have, the more commerce and technology is going to come. And they're blinding you and telling you that this is convenient. If you use a card, it's very convenient. Every time that you purchase a card, and that is, they let you know that the card is convenient. Every time that you purchase a card, you give them a reason in order for them to have an infrastructural bank or a Federal Reserve Bank. There's no different from a private. That is different from a private bank, but there's no different from an institutionalized bank or a city bank or infrastructural bank than a Federal Reserve Bank, because Federal Reserve banks are the backbones of banks like Chase, Wachovia, which is Wells Fargo's now. They are the backbone and the structure of the Federal Reserve banks. Okay? If we control our monetary systems and we control that, keep them in safe places where it is not a threat, in our houses or somewhere private, we would be better off. We would shut down that institution within a span of 10 to 15 months with only 27% of the population of the world. In America, it was going to take much more of that. If we can get 60 to 89% of people that does not invest in